Alexi Meyer wins the first round of DSFA with a dominant drive. Wow! Vincenta Samson wins the second round of DSFA in Sepang. Oh, and that's contact with Samson. Alexi Meyer wins once again in Montreal, Canada. Contact, and that's both cars out. Alexi Meyer wins the fourth round in Imola. Off the road for Anderson. And that's a late breaking move for Meyer in the hairpin. Roski wins in Magny Cours. And that's a big crash with our championship leader, Meyer. Roski wins again in DSFA. More points for Archer GP. Marco Cicerelli wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Sampson wins the United States Grand Prix and takes the lead of the championship. Vincenta Samson extends his lead in the championship by winning in Suzuka. Hello everybody, welcome to Interlagos, the final race of Season 1. What a season it has been indeed. On our grid, on the front row, we have Anderson on pole position, Marco Cicerelli, a contender for the championship in P2. All the way at the back in P11 is Vincenta Samson. As you can hear, the engine's revving. We have now 1 minute until the lights go out. As we get ready for lights out. And it's lights out, and away we go. Down to turn 1, Anderson keeps his lead. Where's Samson in this? Coming down into turn 1. Bit of a collision, and that's Tolstov spun round with the altitudes getting involved. Kai Levik's got ahead of Anderson by turn 2. 3. As Kevin has a drive through, it's side by side for Anderson and Levik. Marco's gone to the lead of this race. I don't think Levik's going to stick this one out. Samson is currently P6. That is, if he has the fastest lap, he will take the World Championship. But it's close between Levik and Anderson. These two might be battling more than you would expect. Killen has gone down by 1 position, starting P4. Wait, no, he's gone down by 2 positions. Some really good defending from Anderson here. As we start to round out the final first lap, Rangel in his home race has had a moment. It's side by side between the 2 Racing Goats teammates. Keown down the inside into turn 1. That'll be the outside of turn 2. He's ahead by turn 2. Going into turn 3 now. Will Killen have any battery to fire back? They both have DRS, but he stays behind. A smart decision that would be. Tolstov is in P10 sadly now. But if these two keep fighting it out the way they are, the championship will go Samson's way, and it will be if he has the fastest lap. Delfino into the pits. It looks like he has suspension damage. As that looks like it's Tolstov into the pits. I thought it was a green car, and it was. Will we have a second round of racing between the 2 Racing Goats? It actually looks like Sebastian's closer to Levik than Killen is to his teammate. No moves going into this corner. Samson's catching up quite a bit. Rangel's back into 10th. I wouldn't expect these 2 Racing Goats drivers to be battling this hard, this early into the race, to be fair. So, Samson does have the fastest lap, and this would mean Marco and Samson would be tied on points. Let's stop talking about this, and let's start talking about the move Samson's trying to make, and it will be a move for Kiln down the inside of his teammate, trying to do the switcheroo. Samson is actually weaving himself quite nicely here. If he gets 5th place or higher, he has won the championship no matter what. It's a double overtake for Samson up into P4. I think Sebastian's going to snatch P4 away from him, but Samson stuck it into P4. A double overtake move. And he's on the course to win the World Drivers the World Drivers Championship. But it's getting close between Sebastian and Samson. Sebastian down the inside of the altitude driver. Will Samson try and look for the old switcheroo here? He's being blocked by the line he wants to take. He's actually braking on the straight. That's caught Samson off guard. That's a bit of contact between the two. Sebastian's going very slowly. That surely must have been strategic there from Sebastian to Samson. But regardless, Samson is going to win the World Drivers' Cup Championship. We have 30 laps to go. Anything could happen. These are the early stages of the Grand Prix so far. But Killian is going to have a go at his teammate before they even get to the DRS point. And is ahead, obviously before the first corner. That'll be a very simple move there. So far, all the drivers, or to my knowledge, have been playing it quite cleanly so far, other than that contact between Samson and Sebastian. Marco currently has a 1.3 seconds lead over his teammate, Anderson. I don't think Kai Levick's in the picture of a race win at the moment, but he hasn't had a podium yet in DSFA Kai. This might just be a redemption day for him after his loss of the win last time round in Japan. He was leading and then he lost it and crashed out. Looks like Tolstov has gotten by Delfino. As that's a spin for Delfino. As that's a contact between Anderson and Delfino coming back onto the racetrack. I did not expect that. So that puts Samson into the podium. And Killen is still battling it out with Samson. It looks like Anderson has a lot of damage. Samson's actually quite close to our second place right now. He's gaining upon Kai Levick. Levick's not going to be able to fight this one. Down the main straight they go, down to turn one. Samson, out of all things that could happen, and that's a spin for Levick coming into turn one. Locked the rears there. But as I was saying, out of all things I could expect, Samson in P2 was not one on lap 8. Anderson is into the pit lane. This was not something I'd expect. So let's get a replay on this now. So it's just, it was trying to avoid him. It was both error on both sides, I believe. It was a dangerous re-entry from Delfino, but Anderson probably thought Delfino was going to join the track fully, so he swerved to the right, and it turned out he wasn't. So they ended up colliding, and that put Anderson nearly out of the points. As is that blue flags to Rangel? Yes, because... Yeah, wow. Wait, no, Anderson just let Rangel through. Not quite sure why. Maybe he still has damage potentially, but it would have been repaired in the pit lane. And it looks like the battle between Sebastian and Kill has calmed down. Tolstov makes his move and is ahead by turn 1. Looks like someone's had a moment with the tyres in turn 1 at least. But is Anderson going to fight this one back out with Tolstov? Coming down to turn 4, he backs out of any move he was going to potentially make. Someone spun it. It's an altitude. It's Rangel. In his home race, Rangel has spun it. Coming out of turn 5, I think it is. No, turn 4. He has suspension damage. Now, let's get a replay on what happened with Rangel. We're on board with him. So, he took too much curb, too much runoff, hit the wall, spun round, and that's where he is. Is Anderson going to retake 8th place with the DRS, with the bit of a battery advantage? He picks the outside line into turn 1. He's ahead before the apex. I don't think Sebastian will have the DRS. Will he? We will see. He does not. So I don't think there's going to be any move able to be made. Yeah, look at the gap. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. Delfino's had another moment coming out of the corner. Tarlostov is stationary. Or he was, actually. He wasn't. So, Delfino has had a moment. Rangel! Rangel again! Coming out of the final proper corner. So let's have a look at both incidents here. So he was taking the corner and he just lost it and tried to overcorrect. Who was the second one? It was like Tolstov or Sebastian. So, Tolstov was chasing Anderson. He locked the rears and just spun out of that corner. Kai is being caught up by Watu here. Ranger has had another moment, unless it's blue flags, but he might have had a moment. Will we see an overtake? DRS is open. Chasing down to turn 1 we go. Will he make a move? No, he won't. But I think he has the better tyres. He will have the DRS here, as he does go for it. And he's ahead before the corner. Kai's had a moment. He's hit the wall, lost traction coming out of the corner, and hit the wall. Kai is coming into the pits, and that would seem very evident. Currently, Rangel is under blue flags with Rangel is currently under blue flags with Tarlostov. Isn't getting out of his way. In fact, it's actually gaining on Anderson here. He goes for it. But Anderson's chasing Rangel back. This isn't put for position. This is just unlapping and lapping themselves. Watu's into the pit lane. I wouldn't be surprised if Marco Cesarelli hits now to potentially undercut Samson. And Samson might go for the long game. If Samson's concerned about the championship, which I'm sure he is, he's not going to be bothered about winning or getting second place here. He's wanting to win the World Championship. And at the moment, he's looking he has a very good chance at winning it right now. This will be close on pit exit with a rush sign. Our race leader is the one that is ahead. Sebastian comes in. Will we see our leader come into the pit lane this lap? We will be waiting for this every lap. And he is. Now, will Samson follow him into the pit, or will he stay out and try to take an advantage on this? He's staying out. So Samson will now take the lead of this race. Marco Cicerelli will be going onto the C2 tyre. Contact nearly, and it is off the road for Killen against the back marker P11 Rangel in his home race. Very soon it might be Marco's actually going to be very close indeed to Killen and overtake him for position. We're coming into turn 1. Levick is in very close. And in fact, Anderson and Samson are very close on track. Killen is into the pit lane. These two might come very close together here. Yeah, very close together here. I'm not suggesting any mischief here, but as Anderson's teammate, you might want to battle Samson enough to potentially put him out of the World Championship picture. I'm not suggesting a crash or anything. In fact, Samson is pitting, so Anderson will have nothing to do with Samson anymore. Now, we know Cicerelli is going to be ahead of Samson, but by how much? Before the pit stops, it was 9.5 second gap. Now, he's passed him. This seems like a lot more than 9.5 seconds. And it's going to be a little over 10 seconds of a gap. So Cicerelli's made up just that little bit more time over Samson. But Samson's on the C4 tyre, interestingly. So, will Samson have the better pace here for the final stages of the Grand Prix? Will he get the fastest lap? And will he bring it home? Tolstov into the pits. To visualize where Samson is compared to Cicerelli, Cicerelli is coming to turn 3, Samson's about to cross the line to start lap 21. Sebastian's coming back at Killen down the main straight. They've passed into turn 1. Will Killen fight this? Coming out of turn 3 now. Yes, he will around the outside. Hopefully no collision or no spins again. And he's defended his position once again. So Kevin Rangel has disconnected. Anderson's into the pit lane again. This will keep him in 8th though. He might be onto the C6 tyre or C5 depending on the severity. It's the C2 tyres, C3 onto the C2. I think I know what is done. This is our race leader, Samson now, coming up to Anderson. Anderson in 8th position, Samson in 2nd. Blue flags are in place. These two are at it again, overtaking each other. Someone's at the moment. Who was it? It was Watu? Yes, it was Watu. Collision, they say. So it was just a bit of collision from the rear end. Funny enough, Samson is gaining roughly half a second every lap. Which side will Kill and Go is going round the long way, maximum distance on the racing line to carry the most speed into the corner. As that's a bit of net code there. A very clear net code. As Sebastian just appeared out of nowhere, like 2/10 back. Very common. Once again, Samson gaining half a second each lap. However, if he keeps up this pace, he still could not overtake Marco. Because if we do the math, about half a second a lap, we would need an extra 17 laps for a battle to take place. And I don't think that's happening. "12 laps left of this race. Funny enough, this is where Samson is, this is where Marco is. So, we may have, at the very end, a potential fight for the lead. It's not going to matter because Samson currently has the World Drivers' Championship under his belt. Big black belt. He's actually picked up the pace quite a bit, and he is going to, by the amount he gained last lap, he is going to have a championship fight. I mean, a fight for the lead. Levick has crushed. Hopefully he didn't rejoin unsafely. He has Sign coming up now. His teammate. Do they collide? No, they don't. But they're still battling for position. I forgot they're both battling for position. Levick just locking up. I love how Anderson's just staying this close behind Samson. He's been able to keep up with him, probably because of the DRS. But Marco's time last lap was an 11.5. Samson's time last lap was a 9.5. That is 2 seconds last lap. We might have a battle on our hands about 5 laps from now. But these two teammates are still battling it out very much indeed. So we've got these two battling, these two keeping up with each other, and we've got Marco Cicerelli in between. Contact for Levick and a rush. It's now a 5-second gap between P1 and P2. Levick will have the DRS. Will he have the advantage into turn 1? No, he won't. But that's a spin for a rush. Contact off the road into the barriers for both of them. That is going to let Marco by track position wise. Levick's ahead track position wise. Track position wise. Track position wise. A rush is off the road still. However, that gap keeps on diminishing every single lap. It was nearly a full second gained last lap to P1. This is going to be an interesting last lap fight. It might not even be the last lap. But obviously, as we all know, the C4 tyre will be degrading the more he pushes it. So he needs to race accordingly with the pace and tyre degradation. But the gap is under 5 seconds now. Wow. Time last lap for Marco Cicerelli was a 9.726. 9.241. Time last lap for Samson was a 9.241. I don't think Samson's gonna have the chance to overtake Marco here. His tyres have degraded quite a lot in the following laps, and in fact he's losing time roughly to Marco. I think he's gonna stay in P2 for now. He would still come home with the championship. as we start the final lap here in Interlagos. Okay, as we're about to head down the back straight for the final time, this looked like Alexi Mayer's season, but as attendance slipped, the door opened. Marco will now cross the line to win the final round in Brazil. Samson now crosses the line to take P2 behind Marco, who wins, and Samson wins the World Drivers' Championship to be the first world champion of DSFA. What a season, what a championship battle between the three of them. So many plot twists, so many moments. Samson is the world champion. As he does celebrative donuts. What a burnout from from Samson. What a season this has been. Thank you for all the fans who have came across the entire championship, watched it all happen. And goodbye everybody. Samson, world champion, first world champion in DSFA.